How have you been? I'm just wanting to take a minute and do what the book says and slow down. You might want to slow down with me. Take some big breaths. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you're new here, welcome. Welcome, welcome. I'm so honored that you decided to spend your time here with me. Going to try and slow down and relax. I got this book as a gift for my new little niece who will be arriving soon. And I'm going to the baby shower this weekend. And the mother has requested books. The cover is textured. I hope it sounds good. Do you know, it's actually a total coincidence, but I'm wearing a top that actually has hummingbirds. It's upside down, but can you see? Isn't that neat? It just happened, I was wearing this top today and yeah, how fun. So this book is called Slow Down and Be Here Now. 20 nature stories to make you stop, look, and be amazed by the tiniest things. And I really wanted to show this to you and share it with you before I give it away. Although I am considering buying one for myself as well. It is written by Laura Brand and illustrated by Freya Hartis. And it's just such a beautiful book. Each page is chock full. And I'm not going to show you every page, but I'm going to pick a few and we'll have a look at them, okay? I've really been enjoying finger pad tapping lately. And alternating. And I just want to take my time with the cover, just enjoying the sounds. coat its feathers with oil. Quack, quack. A team of ducks feeding and preening at the water's edge is one of nature's everyday delights. Both the brown speckled females and the silken green males can spend hours cleaning and smoothing their feathers. Because ducks spend a lot of time in water, they must keep their feathers waterproof using a special oil called preen oil. This oily substance comes from a gland above their tail feathers. They collect it with their beaks and carefully coat their feathers. This locks together the barbules like a pointy fringe of their outer feathers, creating a warm, dry seal that protects them from the water and helps them to float. Let's see a duck's clever raincoat in action. The riverbank is full of life. Duck waggles among the other birds, foraging for food. She curls her long neck towards the water, seeking out small insects, water snails, or perhaps a tasty tuft of grass. A group of ducks is also known as a raft, a paddling, or a flock. Duck moves to a quieter spot where she shakes and ruffles, showing off the soft, downy feathers of her plumage. Duck settles there and takes the time to preen herself. She nuzzles her head between her tail feathers before smoothing down her wings with the silky preen oil. She repeats this back and forth all over her coat, which is becoming more silken with every stroke. Back and forth, back and forth. She oils. A grey cloud hovers overhead and it starts to rain. The duck stands up and waddles towards the water's edge. She launches into the water and glides off, droplets rolling off her coat as she paddles away. Discover how a bee cools its honey. Honeybees are flying insects known for their waxy hives and the sweet golden honey they produce. Worker honeybees visit flowering plants that have protein-rich pollen and sugary nectar. Honeybees suck nectar from the blossoms through a proboscis, a straw-like tongue, and then store it in their honey stomach, a tiny pouch in their digestive system. When they're full, the workers return to the hive to deliver their load to waiting house bees, who chew on the nectar, passing it from bee to bee until it turns into a runny substance, which they pack into the hive's honeycomb cells. Then they flap their wings thousands of times to cool the liquid until it turns into sticky honey. beehive sits in a wildflower meadow. Honeybees are darting to and fro, foraging nectar from daisies, clovers, and cornflowers. Inside the hive, a chaos of bees buzz, humming loudly and clambering over each other. This humming is in fact the bees at work in perfect harmony, transferring honey, communicating with each other, and keeping busy through the day until early evening. When the last of the foragers returns to the hive, at the entrance we see a well-organized group of bees doing a very important job. They are cooling things down. Beating their wings in unison, the bees generate ventilation to keep the hive happy and healthy. There are over 20,000 species of bee in the world, but only 8 types of honeybee. A honeybee's wings beat 11,400 times per minute. The bee's delicate but powerful wings create enough airflow to cool and set the last of the day's honey haul in its cells. As the working day draws to a close, for some honeybees, others are starting their shifts in the hive until the morning sun shines again. Follow a hummingbird as it drinks from a flower. This is the sound of the world's smallest migrating bird as it hovers mid-air, beating its wings and reaching for nectar. This tiny, beautiful bird is incredibly fast too, and can feed on thousands of exotic and well-adapted blooms each day. At the end of its long tongue is a fork-like tip, which it uses to grab the nectar before attracting it back into its beak to enjoy the sugary liquid. High-protein nectar, along with tiny insects, are essential to a hummingbird's survival and help to restore its energy after all this busy work. Let's watch as the red-throated hummingbird hovers over this bright flower. The flowering vines of the trumpet creeper cascade into the garden. Large funnels of orange flowers face toward the sun. A warm welcome for Hummingbird. He takes off from the bed branch where he's rested overnight, powering himself upward with strong, deliberate strokes up, up, up. He lingers at a beautiful bloom. Now we can see his ruby red collar shimmering in the sunlight. He dives, dipping his long beak into the funnel-shaped flower. His stretchy tongue leaps out, curling around the nectar to trap the liquid, working like a pump to push it down his throat. Gulp. And again to another flower. hummingbirds can see ultraviolet light, which is invisible to the human eye. This means that pink, red, and purple flowers are particularly attractive to them. He will spend much of the morning hovering and drinking until he is full and ready for a quiet moment back on his bed branch. See a goldfinch extract tiny seeds from teasels. As the seasons change from autumn to winter, nature's seed heads dry out, but the resourceful goldfinch will always find food. This British variety of bird keeps busy during the daylight hours, soaring across the skies in a wave-like motion, dipping and rising in search of food and nest-building materials. Tall teasels with cone-like heads are the favourite sources of food for the goldfinch, as well as the many insects that enjoy feeding on the plant's leaves and nectar. Let us watch as a goldfinch uses his pointed beak to pluck seeds from a dried out teasel. On the edge of the field, we see the spiky silhouettes of the wild teasel towering above the ragworts and grasses. Even at a distance, we notice the excited flitting of birds between these plants. They're feasting and foraging on this warm autumnal day. As we approach, we see more clearly a fleck of yellow and a dash of red. Goldfinch is here. The teasel barely wavers as goldfinch perches on top of a single conical seed head, using his light feet and excellent balance to extract the tiny seeds. Goldfinch prods and pulls his sharp, strong beak back and forth to tweeze out fluffy bedding in between seed snacks, which he also extracts and stores to take back to his nest. Some seedlings escape and float off into the air as Goldfinch almost reaches his fill, and as others arrive in the surrounding foliage, so our goldfinch friend takes off to get on with his busy day ahead. A group of goldfinches is called a charm. This comes from the Old English word charm, meaning bird song, a perfect fit for this bird with its charming calls. The American goldfinch is a common garden bird. It has quite different markings. The male has bright yellow plumage and a black beak. Watch a beetle pollinate a magnolia flower. flower and the sap beetle share a special relationship. Magnolia flowers are one of the oldest types of flowering plants on Earth. Originally, they would have been pollinated by beetles or flies, long before butterflies, moths, and bees came on the scene. The brown-shelled sap beetle is the oldest known pollinator of the magnolia. For centuries, this beetle has carried pollen from the male part of the flower to the female part of another flower, allowing it to grow and multiply. Magnolia flowers have adapted to the beetle's presence, growing hardy petals and well-protected seeds to accommodate this clumsy pollinator, who can get a bit carried away as it eats its way around the plant. Munch, munch. An ornate magnolia tree with its bright pink and white flowers and glossy green leaves creates a colourful canopy for anyone who walks beneath it. A low-hanging branch means that we are lucky enough to peek inside a flower, where there is a lot of activity today. The sap beetle and her friends are setting to work, scurrying around. They have an important job to do, and they're scuttling towards the stamen right at the centre of Magnolia's flower. It is brimming with abundant, powdery pollen. Pollination happens when pollen grains from the male part of one flower, anther, are transferred to the female part, stigma, of another flower. Sap beetle chews away, using her strong mandibles, jaws, to feast. Beetles aren't designed to gather nectar and pollen, as their mouth parts are in fact made for chewing. This is why they can't help but have a little bit of a nibble along the way. While she hungrily circles around the stamen, she collects pollen as it sticks to her shell. Now looking much dustier than she started, sap beetle is ready to leave the magnolia flower, and she wanders off, taking pollen to another flower, completing process of pollination. Come into the here and now. You can slow down and be in the moment at any time of day, wherever you are. When you allow yourself to pause, it opens up the possibilities of seeing really amazing, tiny miracles in the world around you. A dandelion breaking through a crack in the pavement, the dance of a feather on the wind, the surprising hues of a sky at dusk. So let's pause together now, find a safe spot and stand outside. Notice the ground under your feet. What's it like? Soil or grass? Stones or concrete? Wiggle your fingers. Wiggle your toes. Notice the air on the tip of your nose. Wherever you are, take this moment to stop. It's time to breathe and let your shoulders drop. Now inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. next exhale, count to 6, then try once more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The world will start to slow. You're calmer with every breath. Your thoughts seem bright and clear. Your senses find new depth. Thank you for reading that with me. That was really special. I think the artwork is so beautiful to look at. I hope you thought so too, as you listened to little facts and descriptions of beautiful things, little creatures and plants. I hope you sleep well. If it's time to sleep, or that you have a wonderful day and you continue to feel relaxed.